Hello and welcome to All Things Sky Blue. As you can see in the background, we're live in the anecdote. And as you can see, Mr. Shale is with me. Josh, you all right, Josh?
All good, mate. How are you?
Yeah, not too bad, thank you. Not too bad.
Good.
And from his comfy seat at home, we will introduce Mr. White. Hello, Mr. White. How are you?
Yeah, good, thank you. You both okay?
Yeah, not too bad, thanks.
Good, mate. Thank you.
Good.
So, how's this week been for you so far?
All right.
I know we're only on Tuesday.
Yeah, we're getting there. Yeah, it's gone all right so far.
What's the word I'm looking for? You itching about any transfers yet or not?
No, I'm relaxed about it.
No, still relaxed.
Yeah, I've just put a tweet up about it earlier on about Twitter should be banned for Coventry fans during the summer break. So I'm totally relaxed. I'm totally relaxed about it, but
yeah,
it was
good. As long as you relax, that's the main thing. It was nice to see the pictures of the lads in training, coming into training, weren't it?
Yeah, it was good. It's nice to see them training and Callum O'Hare and Fabio, and yeah, it's good to see smiles on faces and things like that. So it's really good.
Yeah. How do you feel about them back in training?
Yeah, great training kit.
Yeah, it's nice, isn't it?
That navy, fantastic.
Yeah, it is nice. Even though I am a big fan of the old one, it was a nice training kit.
Nice pair.
Yeah, it was good. Okay, so obviously we've done the goalkeepers and we've done the left wing backs. We're going to move on to the right wing back position tonight. Now, from my point of view, I did say it on when we were talking about the left backs that I would find this the hardest one, and I have. I've found it really difficult to try and pinpoint anybody down really that I would want to come into and be a starting player. Obviously, as always, we talk about the old boys that are there now, and the departed ones also. I think the only one that I haven't really, or I'm not going to really talk about, is Todd Kane, because he was away on loan for majority of the season and didn't really have any impact at the start either. If I'm honest, not in my eyes. So first of all, I think it's right that we start with Darbo. He's been with us from League One. League One, his first season League One was probably his most outputted one. He had 3 assists. It was 32 games, but he had 3 assists, which is quite good in that wing back position. And I think we can all say that he was a massive fan's favourite of ours. How do you feel about Darbo going?
I think his time here has sort of come to an end. I mean, he suffered a lot with injuries and that recently, and I just think it's the right time for us to release him and him to find a new club. I mean, you're right. His best season was in that League One season, and on his day, he was a good player for us. But it's just been blighted too much by injuries, and we can't rely on him that much anymore. We don't know how long he's going to be fit for. So I think it's best for both parties that he moves on.
Yeah, that's right. How do you feel, Josh?
Yeah, I mean, as you said, Stuart, he was a fan's favourite. I mean, there's a reason that he's in our cover photo that's behind us now, and that's by design. He's one of our favourite players. I mean, a lot of us will not define him from Wembley. There's more to him than that. That was just a moment in time that someone had to step up, and it was him, and unfortunately it didn't go our way. But, we want to try and remember him for the good times. He was so influential in that League One promotion season. In the Championship, I suppose the first season, when we just about stayed up, he was fantastic. But then through injuries, it didn't quite go right for him. But I think he will be forever fans' favourite, really.
Yeah, totally agree. He was definitely one of, at the start, he was definitely one of mine. And unfortunately, I think, you nailed it on head, Danny. He was plagued by injuries as it was coming to an end. And it's a shame. It's a shame that the way it ended, really, because obviously he found out that he was released so soon after, the heartbreak of what Wembley was, and I'd wish him well, and I hope he finds a club, which I think he will, and I hope that the injuries stay away for him. So if you do listen to this, Darbo, good luck to you, buddy. All right. So obviously, people that do listen to this and that do listen to our Twitter space will know of the big fan that I am of the next person that I'm going to talk about, and that's Jack Burrows. For me, when he first played I didn't watch his debut for us really at Watford. I saw the highlights and I liked what I saw. It was the next game that he played at home that really caught my eye. Getting up and down, good on the ball, wanted to beat the player, quite quick. I believe he's one of the quickest in the City squad as well. So for me, I think towards the end of last season, I wanted him to start because I think he deserved his chance. For whatever reason, Cuffy just had the edge over him. But hopefully next year he can push on and push forward. You know, he is only 22. He's still in contract until 2025. I think he's just recently signed one.
Yeah.
He had 12 games, 5 of them he started, and 6 of them off the bench. You know, how do you feel about Jack?
I think he's certainly good enough this season to be a backup. I think it's probably slightly too soon for him to be a first-team regular, if I'm honest. But I think he's more than capable of coming off the bench and even, dare I say, challenging for a first-team place at right wing back. I mean, I was at that Watford game, Stuart, and he was absolutely outstanding. Marked Ismail Assar out the game. He was fantastic. And I think he's certainly got what it takes. He's sort of on that level of Ryan Howley, Marco Russ, and Josh Eccles, actually, that makes you really excited for the future of the club.
Yeah,
he's got a big, bright future ahead of him.
Yeah, you know, like I said, I'm a massive fan. How do you feel about Jack, Danny?
Yeah, I like him as well. I think I think you're right. He won't be a starter. I think we just need to integrate him into the first team a bit more. A bit like giving him sort of 20, 30 minutes here and there, and sometimes maybe give him a couple of starts if we got like a 2-game week or things like that. But I rate him, and yeah, you're right. He's quick as well. He's a fit player, so I think he's got a good future at the club. So I really like him.
Yeah. Do you think he starts the season, Danny?
No. I think he'll be back up. I think he'll just be. I think they'll just gradually give him minutes in games, like to try and give him experience. Although he's played games already, I can't see him being a starter for us. Not at all.
Okay. How about you? Do you think he'll start?
Well, at the minute he does, because we've not got anyone ready to go in there. I mean, you don't really want to put Jay De Silva on that side this early. But I don't want to sort of spoil it, but quite a lot of my suggestions for signings are permanent ones, because I think we need to move past relying on loans now, if we can, and trying to get some permanent bodies into the building.
Yeah.
But to answer your question, I think it's probably a little bit too soon.
Okay, fair enough. Again, people that do listen to the Twitter space on a Sunday night at 9 o'clock will know that I'm not a massive fan of the next guy, and we had him on loan from Arsenal. He is only 19 of age. I do get that. But for me, he did have some defensive frailties, if you like. Going forward, in patches, he was brilliant, and I loved it. I think he got lucky a little bit sometimes with a ricochet here, and it hit him or hit the defender and it got through. But if he did that more often, I would be more inclined to say yes. I would want him back. Like I said, he was on Rotherham for the first half of the season. He had 20 games. He got 2 assists, which, to be fair, for a 19-year-old, was good. Obviously, he played 21 games for us, and he didn't get any assists or any goals. And for me, it was just a little bit, like I said, I saw defensive frailties that I thought Jack Burrows would have been better in that position. For me, what do you think, Josh, about Cuffy?
I agree. Completely. I think going forward, whether it be, fortunate circumstance or not, I think he was quite effective going forward. I think I just think defensively, he was one of those players that always looked tired.
Yes.
He always looked shattered.
I agree.
It was almost like he'd played 10-15 minutes and he was just out of it. But when it came to it, he'd always, to be fair to him, got back in position. But I think much like a lot of our loan players that we've had over the last few years, defensively, that's always been their weakness. Maybe due to their wing back, the way we use wing backs, their attacking sort of form's always been their strength, and their defensiveness has always been their weakness.
Yeah.
Whether I'd have him back, I would personally, but I'd still want that permanent signing too.
Yeah. Okay. So you wouldn't be happy with Jack Burrows and Cuffy as the two?
I'd want an experienced head, ideally, permanently.
Yeah.
Because again, to me that's still very short term.
Yeah.
Where do you go from there next season?
Yeah. Okay. How about you, Danny? How do you feel about Cuffy?
But he's only 19, so he's going to get better year on year, isn't he? I think. So a bit like Doyle. I think Doyle was on loan at Sunderland, and then the next season he improved when he was with us. But I don't know. He might be better if it's like you say, he was on loan at Rotherham for 6 months. So a full loan with us, he might improve a bit more. But I think Josh is right. We do need permanence, because otherwise we're going to just be in the same situation next season, trying to get about 8 or 9 players in. So I know I'm a bit unsure if I want him back, really, to be honest.
Right.
50-50 with it.
What was that? Sorry, you wouldn't want him back?
No, probably about 50-50 with it. I'm not too fussed if we don't get him back.
Okay, fair enough. Yeah, I'm in agreement that I think it's time that I'm a fan of loans, and I get why we do it, but I would much prefer permanent signings, your signings. And I think Doug is inclined with that way as well. And I think you might find that we do get more permanent signings with that. So moving on to signings then. Nice, clever little slip into that one. Obviously, I did set your homework again, and it was to come up with 3 right wing backs. Now I know sometimes it's a little bit hard to get the actual player that you want to play right wing back. So if it's a full back that you want to push into that position, I'll accept that as well. If it's a midfielder that you want to pull back, then I'm okay with that as well. Because I did find this the hardest one in terms of people that I could realistically think about getting into the club. One of mine, at least, is probably a little bit too far-fetched, maybe. But the other 2, I think, are quite reliable to be able to get in, if I'm honest. Okay. So, on that, Danny, we'll go with yours first.
Okay.
And who's your first person?
Well, hopefully nobody else has got him, because I'm going to go. I can't pronounce his surname, but a guy called Ryan Nyambe.
Okay.
He left Wigan at the end of last season. He used to play for Blackburn. He's played 186 games in the Championship.
Wow.
He's only 25. I think he couldn't negotiate a deal with Blackburn, so he went to Wigan, and Wigan only gave him a 1-year deal. So he's free. He's free. He was averaging 1.3 interceptions per 90, 1.4 successful tackles, and 2.2 clearances per 90 minutes in a struggling Wigan side. He's a good defender. He can play in the middle as well and on the right, and he plays for internationally, I think, for Namibia.
Oh, okay.
But he's only 25, and he's already played near enough 200 Championship games.
That's
I think, and he was a regular for Blackburn as well. So I think that one's a possibility for us.
Wow, I haven't even picked up on him, to be fair, mate. So that's a good shout. How do you feel about that one? Have you heard of him?
Yeah, I know him from Blackburn when he used to be a football manager back in the day, a couple of years ago. Yeah, decent time. I didn't know he ended up at Wigan, to be fair.
Yeah, and obviously they've they could only afford sort of 1 year contracts and things like that. So he's available on a free.
Brilliant, fantastic, nice first one. I like it. Well done. How about you, Josh? Who's your first one?
My first one, I think he got let go from Fulham. He was on loan at Charlton last season. Steven Sessegnon, naturally right-sided, but can play left back or left wing back. I don't know what whack he'd want for a wage, but it was when I saw that he could play on the right side as well. I thought that the way that we play, we want to try and play through the middle as much as we can. I just feel like him cutting inside could be quite effective for us, and he's still only 23.
Okay.
So he's got time on his side. We know from Adi and Robbins they get the best out of players.
Yeah,
so
definitely.
Worth a mention at the very least.
Yeah, I like it. That's another good one. Brilliant. How do you feel about that one? Sessegnon.
I don't know a lot about where did they originally get him from. I can't remember where he came from originally. But
Fulham, but then he went on loan on Charlton last season. Charlton last season. I don't know, but before that though. Was he at Tottenham, or was that the?
It might have been, yeah.
Ryan Sessegnon was at Tottenham.
Ryan Sessegnon's at Tottenham, isn't
he? Yeah. Wow, yeah, it sounds good on paper to me. So yeah, I'm happy. Yeah. You've done your homework on him, so yeah, he sounds a plausible signing.
Wow. I'm not sure about homework. Not sure about homework, Danny.
I can go in now.
Right, so my first one. Like I said, this one's a little bit out there, and I think we may struggle. However, if you don't try, you'll never know. The first one's Joe Rankin Costello from Blackburn. He's only 23, and he is only contracted until 2024. So he's only got a year left at Blackburn. In the Championship, he started in the 1920 season. 11 games, he got 1 assist. 2021 season, 14 games, 3 assists and 1 goal. It was an EFL Cup, but it was a goal. He played 10 games in the 21-22 season. But the 22-23 season, so the season just gone, 24 games, 3 assists, 2 goals and 1 goal in the FA Cup. Season on season, this lad's progressed and he's got better and better with every season. And as I said, he's only 23. He's only got a year left on his contract. Look, with what they did to us with Hyam, there's no reason why we can't maybe try and get on back a little bit and get Costello, because I think he's a great option for us at wing back. He can play that full back position and that midfield position, so he's versatile in that way as well. And yeah, I think he ticks all the boxes for me, really. But you know, so do your two. To be fair, I think you've done brilliantly. Because, like I said, I struggled, and you've just named 2 people, you know, off the bat like that, which I didn't even see or even think about. To be fair, how do you think about Costello, Josh? Yeah,
it'd be a good signing. Again, it could be one that we'd struggle with because, as a club, we're always going to have those rivals in our league that come in and try to hijack deals. But I'd have him in a heartbeat. I would. Yeah. Really good suggestion, Stu. Adam.
Good. How about you, Danny? How do you feel about Costello?
Yeah, I've seen him playing games. He looks like he's a good player. He's a pain in the backside from what I've seen in matches. He's always at people and always mouthing off, but he looks good. It's just if Blackburn would allow him to go, which probably wouldn't, but he's definitely a player I'd love to have at the club, but I just can't see that one. But it's certainly a good name. But maybe one to look at.
I think
next
wages
summer
might be a stumbling block as well. You know, because I think they're going to offer him a hefty package because they're not going to want to lose him really. But yeah, so like I said, I think the fee that we might possibly be able to go for would be maybe 2-3 million. But again, it's whether they want to pay that for a right wing back at this moment in time. He may even cost a little bit more. But like you said, he has only got a year on his contract. And if you think of Vic only having a year, and people are saying, you know, that 17 million is too expensive, I think it's ridiculous. But that's for another YouTube video that we'll probably end up doing. So for me, Costello's a great option. So we'll go with. You didn't have any of them 2 names, did you, Josh? Because you got upset last time, didn't you?
I got upset, yeah. got in a state about it. No, my second one played with Ipswich last season. Probably didn't play as many games as we'd like. Potentially falls into the injury-prone scenario like Dabo, but I've gone for Kane Vincent-Young. I don't know if you've heard of him.
No, I haven't.
He was on the books of Tottenham about 7 or 8 years ago.
Okay.
Attack-minded right wing-back, again available for free. Probably the only downside, as well as maybe being a bit injury-prone, is he's 27.
Okay.
So do you lend yourself towards more your younger, or do you go for a bit more experience? But I just thought it was a name that I'd certainly look at.
Yeah.
Like I said, I know him from Tottenham, the academy days. Again, when he used to play Football Manager, he's quite highly thought of. I think he'd be worth looking at on the free for sure.
Okay, well, you mentioned age. Look at Fads.
Yeah.
Fads is 36. And getting better with age. And Bidwell's. Bidwell came in at the age of 26, 27, and Mr. Consistent.
And I suppose Casey as well when he came in.
Yeah.
About the same age, and he's somehow got better. So
exactly.
you got a point there.
So
I suppose,
I don't think age. As long as the player looks after himself, I don't think age is a massive issue. If I'm honest, I think 27 is. I think they're in their prime, aren't they? 25, 26, 27 nowadays.
Yeah.
It's getting later and later because they're looking after their bodies a little bit better.
Yeah.
Have you heard of that name before? What was his name? Sorry.
No, but I'm just looking at sort of how many games he's played for Ipswich and things like that, and he hasn't played that many. He's sort of playing like at the moment, sort of 15 to 20 games. So he could be an option. I've just looked at that Sicilian lad, and he could be an option actually. I've just done a bit of research on him. So those are two good names, I think.
And again, I suppose with the way when we've had Dabo with injuries, we have been reluctant to push him high up the pitch.
Yeah.
We have kind of wanted him to sort of play a bit more defensive. And almost ask whether it's been Martin or Bidwell or Wilson Esbrand to go higher up the other end, the other side.
Yeah.
And this season, I kind of think we need two wing backs to go push as high as they can.
Yeah, totally agree.
Because it's really important the way we play.
Yeah. Okay then, mate. What's your second name, buddy?
My second one is a guy called Daniel Armstrong, who plays for Kilmarnock. Really attacking right wing back. He can play as a winger, but also in the wing back role as well.
Okay.
12 goals and 9 assists in 47 games last season. So
was that 12 goals and 9 assists?
Yeah, in 47 games. So that's like a contribution every 171 minutes. His contract ends in 2025, so there'll be a fee for him. And I've been informed that this guy had a trial for us in 2018. But he's obviously, since then, he's improved. He's just a nuisance, basically, as a winger, right wing back. He's attacking, but he's also left-footed.
Okay, so he can cut in just like...
Yeah. Loves a tackle, great at set pieces and things like that, but he's certainly an option.
Yeah, definitely. Like I said, you might have to excuse me, but is Kilmarnock in the Scottish Premier League or?
I think they are, aren't they? I'm sure Kilmarnock are in the Premier.
Okay, if he's doing that and that's in the Scottish Premier League, whether you think that the Scottish Premier League is good or bad, it's. Oh, are you?
Yeah.
Have you heard of him? What was his name again?
His name is Daniel Armstrong.
Daniel Armstrong from Kilmarnock. Yeah.
He's got a weak wrist. He's got a wrist part.
Okay.
The winger.
Yeah.
Tracking player.
Is he good?
Are you going to take him?
Well, we don't know that yet. I'll come back to you after the video. I'll come back. Okay. So, sorry about that, guys. But live, that's what we get for being live.
All things sky blue.
All things sky blue, yeah. Put me off a little bit. But yeah, good shout. We've got it from a Scottish guy direct here. Great player, cracking player. So yeah.
I'm not sure what league they're in. If they're in the Premier or they're the one below.
Hold on 1 second. Are Kilmarnock in the Premier League? Scottish Premier League? Yeah, they're in the Scottish Premier League. I've got that confirmed. So to assist and score that many, that's a cracking player and that's a cracking shout, mate.
Yeah.
Well done. My second player would be a loan because he plays for Liverpool under 18s. He is 18. Isaac Mambea. In the under 18 Premier League in 21-22, he had 16 games. He scored 2 goals and got 7 assists. And in the Premier League 2, in the season just gone, he's just had 6 games, no goals, no assists. But I know we didn't want to go down the loan option, but I think it's an option that they will be looking at. They may decide to have Jack Burrows or even loan Jack Burrows out. I don't particularly want it, but I think that's what they might do, and then get a permanent and another loan in. So he's an option for me. He can play right back and as a right winger as well. So I think he's quite quick. Again, it's not somebody I know a massive amount. Haven't seen him play, but from a Liverpool academy, I think it might be one to possibly look at if we are looking at loans.
I mean, you've got to have something about you if you play for Liverpool academy. Do you know if he's got any league experience at all?
No, he hasn't. He's
That's
just
not the end
Premier
of the
League
world.
2.
I mean, look at Wilson Nesbrand. I know Wilson Nesbrand played in the Champions League, but he didn't have a full season or half season, did he?
No,
So, yeah,
exactly.
I'll be open to that.
Yeah. Have you heard of him at all, Danny? No, I didn't think you would, to be fair. But yeah. So again, just another little loan option. Who's your third then, Dan?
I'm going for a loan option on this one. Same club, Connor Bradley. He's 19. He was on loan last season at Bolton. 43 games, 5 goals, 4 assists. Bolton got to the playoffs. He's a full Northern Ireland international. He won Players Player of the Year, shared Young Player of the Year with James Trafford. He was the first Northern Irishman to play for Liverpool since 1954.
Wow.
He played in the Carabao Cup. Now I don't know what's going on with him because his contract looks like it ends in this year, but he's certainly an option if we want to get him on loan because they might extend his deal, or we might have to pay a small fee for his age. But he was unbelievable last season for Bolton. He started his career in Northern Ireland and then came over in 2019 to Liverpool. So Connor Bradley is the main one I'd go for.
Brilliant. Well, hopefully 20-goal Bakayoko, if he's still at Bolton, can put a good word in for us.
Yeah.
That would be nice. Have you heard of him before, Josh?
No, but again, I'd never rule out, a loan because, with us not having the biggest, financial backing in the world, you've got to box clever to an extent.
Yeah.
It's just personal preference. I'd love just a permanent right wing back. Now that Dabai is gone.
Yeah. Cool. Okay. Who's your? Was that your third? Sorry, Danny.
Yeah, sorry, that was my third. Yeah.
He's probably got about 10.
Nah, that's it.
Who's your third, Josh?
My third, I'm sure you guys would have heard of him. Tendai Darikwa. Used to play for Burnley and Forest. I think he played for Wigan last season or the season before. Again, I've gone for that more experienced head. He probably ventures more towards League One level, but I think maybe not as a wing back, but as a right back, he'd be solid, and he'd give you that experienced head at the back. Particularly if Fad's asked to drop out for a game or two. He gives you that sort of experience that you need at the back.
Okay.
He's got that experience. I think he might have played in the Premier League for Burnley as well. And like I say, he played for Forest too, so he's got the experience.
Brilliant. How old is he, did you say?
30s, I think. I'm sure it's early 30s.
Early 30s. Okay. Have you heard of him, Danny?
Who is he again, Josh?
Tendai Darikwa.
Never. No, I've never heard of him.
You're saying that name as well.
Have you not heard of him?
No. Never heard of him. But I trust your judgment on him.
I'm glad you do. I'm glad someone does, Danny. Right, so while he's looking for the age,
He's 31.
Oh, there you go. He's 31. So a bit of experience there as well, which is, you know, always useful in them sort of positions, maybe to help, you know, Jack Burrows or if we have another person on loan, maybe another person on loan potentially.
Not Coffee.
Well, maybe Coffee. Look, I know I'm not a massive fan of him, but if we did have him back, you know, we'd have my full back in. And like I said, going forward in patches, he was good. He's just got to do it for more than 20 minutes. You know, I want to see it for 60 minutes. And he's got to work on his defensive frailties, because I think we could be exposed. You know, especially first game of the season against Leicester, against the likes of Vardy and you know, and people like that, if they're still there, you know, and running behind. So my third one is again a little bit of experience. He is an older head. He's 29. He is available on a free transfer. He hasn't got a club, and that's Sam Byram. I was a big fan of him at Norwich when he was there. In 22-23 season, he played 15 games. He got 1 goal. And in the 21-22 season, again, he played 15 games, but that was in the Premier League. So he's got Premier League experience as well, which I think if we're going to push and get to that level, we're going to need people in earlier with that kind of experience, with knowing the Premier League and how hard it is. Like I said, he is an older head, so injuries may play a little bit of a factor somewhere in there as well. But like I said, available on a free transfer. I think that's, again, for me, a little bit of a no-brainer, really, when somebody like that, with that much experience, is available on a free transfer.
Was it Leeds as well?
I think he was at Leeds initially, and then he moved to Norwich.
That's good.
A couple of seasons ago.
Good show.
How do you feel about him, Danny?
Yeah, I've heard of him.
At least you've heard of him. That's a good thing.
Premier League experience, and he hasn't played that many games, but he's certainly someone I'd be interested in potentially signing for us.
Yeah.
He's like you say, he's played at Norwich, Forest, Leeds, things like that. So he's got experience of big clubs. So that could be a really good shout, that one.
Yeah. Cool. All right.
Boys.
Happy?
Yeah.
I tell you what, considering that I said at the start that I found this the hardest one, I think we've kind of nailed it. We've just named 9 wing backs on that right side that, you know, are all realistic options, and I'm happy. Brilliant. Well done. Thank you very much once again, Danny. Thank you very much once again, Josh.
You're welcome.
So moving on to the next video, we'll be looking at the centre-halves positions. Now, for me, this is probably one of the easier ones, just because we've been linked with so many. And, you know, there are so many out there, and a couple of good ones, unfortunately, have just left us because they've been on loan. But we'll be looking at the centre-half positions. I'm not going to nail it down to being, you know, on the right side or left side. It's just a centre-half, okay? So if you can come up with 3 names for me again, be much appreciated. Thanks again for joining me, Danny. Thanks again for joining me live at the Anecdote, and you can tell it was live because we had an intruder in the video from Scotland telling us about one of the right wing backs who's brilliant apparently. So again, we are partnered with the Anecdote, so come down, have a drink, watch a bit of sport on TV. Nice meal in here as well. So come down and do that. I can let you know when we're down here next, and by all means, if you want to come down and speak to us and join in a bit of a chat, you're more than welcome. And again, down at the bottom, scrolling down here, where you can find us on Twitter, Facebook, TikTok, Instagram, and again, we're partnered with the Anecdote Sports Bar. Thank you very much, Danny. Thank you very much, Josh, and we will see you next week or in a couple of weeks' time. Because again, remember, we alternate the weeks. Okay, this will go out on Sunday about 12:30, 12:30-ish. All right. Thank you very much, boys.
Thank you.
Thank you, Danny.
Speak
to you soon.
Bye. See you later. Bye. Bye.